Hi guys, good morning. Welcome back to video. Key culture. I hope good. In this, we're going to see select key disjoint special substrings. Now, the last problem, which is problem number 2, is already live. You can go and watch it. Yesterday's contest problem 2 and 4 are already live. You can go and watch it. Now, in this video, we're going to see this problem. Again, target for this video is 75 likes. Let's start off. We are given a simple string s and an integer value k. Now, we have to determine whether it is possible or not to have key disjoint special substrings. Now, you know what a substring is. Substring is continuous set of some characters. Disjoint is that two substrings should not be overlapping. Now, next thing, they are referring something as special, that any character present inside the substring should not occur outside in that specific string, which means that if I take this, okay, these two, let's say these two are, substrings. These two are also disjoint, but are they special? Obviously not, because A is occurring inside it, but technically if A is occurring inside this specific substring, it should not occur outside, but I can see it is occurring outside as well, which is not allowed. So this is not a special substring which I made. Special substring would have been if I cover, let's say, this. Okay, now this substring is special, this substring is a substring, and this is also disjoint with any other substring which I, let's say, make this one. Okay, now these two, which is this one and this one, are two disjoint special substrings. Now your task is to return true if it is possible to select k disjoint special substrings. They are not referring, specific, any k substring if you can give them, but making sure they are special. And how they will be special? When they are disjoint and following the condition. So obviously, I will try to go ahead in the manner as what I require. I will try for all the possibilities. Again, brute force way says try for all the possibilities. So let's try. Okay, let's firstly try to build up ourselves. That how we will build up. We have A, B, C, D, B, A, E, F, A, B. A, B, C, D, B, A, E, F, A, B. Giving the indexes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, if I ask you how many alphabets you have, for the string, one of the special part is that you will always be given restriction that you have lowercase English alphabets only. So let's try to build all possible substrings which I can make. If I include A, obviously I will include its first occurrence, and also I will have to include its last occurrence. So if A would be including, then I will make this as one such substring. Okay, so how I can find the substring? Obviously, I can check for the first character occurrence. For the character A, what is the first occurrence and what is its last occurrence? That will be my minimum substring length which I can have. Now you might ask, Aryan, why you are having minimum? Because I want to achieve I want to achieve as many as k. So I want also them to be disjoint. So I will try for individual substring to be as small as possible. But on the same hand, making sure that they should not, which means I can, when I say short, I cannot take this. No, because then A will occur outside, which is not affordable to me. So I will have to take from its first occurrence to its last occurrence. So the first point which came up to my mind is that for every character, I will maintain its first index and its last index. With this, with these two, I will be easily able to get out what will be the corresponding substring if that character is included. Okay, now let's proceed forward and let's see all the possibilities which we have on our plate. Firstly, I will, let's say, quickly select that for future references, but let's proceed forward. Now, if the A, so one such possible option would be if I take A, right, then I will have to take a substring starting from 0 up till index 8. Okay, great. Let's proceed forward. If I take B, then I will have to take B first occurrences here, last occurrences here. So this is what I require. Okay. If I take B, then I need from 1 to 9. Okay. If I take C, then okay, there's nothing. So C is only this. Okay. If I take C, then I only have 2 to 2. Okay, great. If I take D, then again nothing D on the side. Okay, take D, nothing. So have 3 to 3. Then what if I take B? Oh, technically B is already chosen. So you have to make sure that you don't repeat things, right? Okay, make sure that you don't repeat things. Okay, let's go for A. A is already also chosen. Then what you get? E. Okay, if you get E, you'll say, okay, E, do I have it? No. Okay, then I will take E, 6 comma 6. Then F, do I have it? No. Okay, F, I will check. Okay, F also nothing. Then 7 comma 7. Then A and B also already included. Now you have all these possible substrings which you can make. Out of these possible options, you have to choose k such substrings which are special. Again, these are only substrings which are individually special, but I have to choose k such that they are disjoint, and I'm able to choose k. So this is my main task right now. Now you can apply DP as well in this, but as you can say that you now can imagine this as you have some intervals. If you don't know what intervals are, I'll highly recommend go and watch the practice problems array playlist. You will easily find many of the interval problems here as well. Coming on back, we now can easily say that I have some intervals. As you can see, this is one, this is another. Then I have another here, 2 to 3 to 3, 6 to 6, 7 to 7. Out of all these, imagine I have to take k non-overlapping intervals. That's the only task. How can you achieve that? Obviously, I can simply skim from left to right and will try to take the first interval whichever I can. Again, that's a very simple greedy approach which I'm trying to take here. The first interval I can take, again, what is the first interval I can take? The first interval is the interval which finishes, sooner, is the first interval. Okay, I will take that interval. Again, I'm going greedily. I want k interval. I'm in, or I should say, I want k subsets. I'm not concerned about, okay, how big that is. No, I just want k. I will take k. That's the only thing. Now if if we are missing something, then let's have a quick check. It simply says that the substring is not the entire string. That's one such condition. And all the substrings must be disjoint, meaning that they cannot overlap. That's another condition. And we have to just return, okay, if we are able to achieve that or not. And again, in this case also, we are just mentioning that nothing in terms for it just should be lowercase. So here, if I come back, I will see, guys, okay, this is the first interval which is ending. I can take that. Okay, next interval which is ending, I can take that. I wanted to, my count in total is 4. I'm good to go. My count is 4, I require 2, I'm good to go. So you see what I did technically here? I simply tried to have these intervals build up. So I simply got this array build up, and how I got this? By taking the first and the last occurrence of indexes, I got this entire intervals array build up. Then I sorted them on the basis of their end index. Why end index? Because if I sort by their corresponding start index, technically I have to take the first interval which is as soon as completely available to me. And how I can achieve that? I can achieve that when I have the first interval which is ending early. That is the reason I will sort these intervals on the basis of their end index. And then again, this is more of taking k intervals out of n intervals. And then when this is done, I will go on to the next interval, right? Which means that I can just take another starting point and just keep on going and count how many intervals I can get, and ultimately making sure that if the count is more than equal to k, I'm good to go. Now, this is ultimate essence. Will you be able to try it? Yes, you should try it. But now let's consider some edge cases. So we were again, I will show you the code also, and also explanation that how you can consider that. But yeah, the logic of sorting I have explained right now here. Now there are some edge cases. What are the edge cases here? The first edge case is, what if, because if you remember that while you were making this specific, this portion, let's say if I just for your sake copy this entire thing just for you to showcase that what you can end up missing. So if I just copy this entire thing down below, now you will see that what edge case, again, firstly, comment down below what edge case can be missed here. But you can easily see that as you are extending A, you just check the first occurrence and the last occurrence of A. That's it, right? Great. But what if I ask you that A would not have been here? Imagine A would not have been here. Imagine. Then, still, if I ask you that what is the interval of A, what will you tell me? You might say, okay, Aryan, it should be from here to here. I'll say no. Because if you take this interval, you will realize that B is, sorry, this is B here. B is technically ending at this location. I mentioned that an interval is told to be good only when everything inside that specific substring, everything inside the specific substring should be, everything inside the specific substring should be only visible in that specific substring. So I have to make sure that anything which is B here should be extended, which means technically I have to read the entire thing. If I if even if in the last step technically I had to extend up till the very end because B came up and B's endpoint is here. So technically what I'm saying is I am maximizing my endpoint as much as possible. So you will also see that in the code itself I will have a write and I will write it down as max of write and the last occurrence of all the characters which come in between, which means s of j. And what is j here? Which means that I'm iterating and trying for all the j's from left to right. J is less than equals to right and then j plus plus. I am trying to go on. Again, what is that left and right? Left is the left occurrence of the character and right is the right occurrence of the character. I'll go through all of these indexes in between and will try to make sure that I'm maximizing its right. Now, which means that okay, this is 0 to 9, this is 0 to 9. Can I take that as one of the intervals? Obviously not. Why? Because the problem itself says that the substring is not the entire length. So I have to make sure that whatever interval I'm about to take, because obviously left is fixed, right, you extended it on the basis of the characters which are inside it. Again, don't worry about the complexity right now. I'll explain the complexity also, but just focus on the logic. I extended that to the extreme right. So this became left, this became right. So now the right is technically right now here. I will check the length of this specific substring. How to check the length? Length I can check right minus left plus 1 is the length. If it is not less than n, which means if it is n equal to n, then I cannot take this interval. So this I cannot take. This interval I cannot take. I can only take this interval provided right minus left plus 1, which is the length of this specific substring, it is less than n. Okay. Now, is there any other? So this was edge case 1. Is there any other edge case which you think you are missing? Just tell me. Is there any other edge case which you are missing? Again, that will depend entirely on how you implement this specific approach. Let's start implementing it and then we will see that if we are missing some edge case or not. So firstly, as I mentioned, that we will have unordered map. So I will have unordered map. Again, just to say that for a specific character, get me the first occurrence and get me the last occurrence. So, and again, I mentioned that I will also maintain these intervals which I have. So I will have the intervals vector also. So a vector which can be, you can take a class as well, or maybe an, pair also. Again, class is much more beneficial, but okay, that also works. Then as a first step, I have to make sure I populate the first and the last occurrence of all the characters. So I'll simply iterate and go on to all the characters inside my input string. And if the first character or the first occurrence is already not populated, which means that if first occurrence count of that specific character, if it is not, if it is not empty or it is already not there, only in that condition make sure that first occurrence of that specific character, which is s of I should update that to the index I. This is the first occurrence. But last occurrence should be updated as and when I am getting it. So last occurrence will always keep on updating provided I am having a element, and thus ultimately in the end I will have the last occurrence here and the first occurrence here. Now because of the logic which we saw right now, we will simply try to make these corresponding intervals. How we will do that? I will simply go on and say that for int I equal to 0, I is less than n, and then I plus plus. Now, my task was that for every specific character, technically I should go, which means I I know I only have 26 characters, which means A to Z. So why I am going on to all of these indexes? You might say, Aryan, yeah, it perfectly makes sense that you should go on to just individual characters. And thus I have to make sure that my I is going on to only the starting or the first occurrence of every character, which means A is occurring here as well, here, and multiple places. But I mentioned that I want all these intervals, that's it. And at max, we can have 26 intervals. So it only makes sense to go on to each character once. Each character, which means, okay, for A, just go on to its first occurrence. That's it. So what I will do, I will simply go on to A's first occurrence. What is A's first occurrence and how to figure out? I'll simply have a check that if my current index I, if it is not equal to my first occurrence of that character S of I, which means that it is maybe some other occurrence. In that case, simply continue because I will only go on to a specific character only at its first occurrence. Because again, you can skip this also. You can take and iterate on all the characters from A to Z. A to Z. That also perfectly works. The entire essence is go on to every character just once. And for simplicity, going on to its first occurrence. Now, as I am on any character's first occurrence, I will get its left occurrence. Its left occurrence will be the first occurrence of S of I and also the right, extreme right occurrence, which is the last occurrence of S of I. Now, as I told that even if I have the first and last occurrence, I have to make sure that I'm extending that with anything in between. So I know this is the left, this is the right. So now I will extend and try to extend my right occurrence to as much as I can go. Okay, what I will do for that? I will say that J, it starts off from left and will go up till right and then do a J plus plus, and then right will be maximized by right and my last occurrence of that specific character S of J. So with that, my right occurrence is maximized. Now, I told you, now I have to put things in my answer. What is my answer? My answer as in my intervals. So I have to put things in my intervals. I have to put things inside this vector. So I have my left, I have my right, which is extended now. Just put it, but only put it when right minus left plus 1. If it is less than my n, only in that case I should put it in my interval. So I'll just say interval dot push back and just push that pair left comma right. Now, is it okay? Is the question. My question is it okay? Maybe you might think yes, but I will just give you one case which you might have missed. What that case is, for example, if rather than C and D here, right, you have C, let's say what if you had a C here? Now you might say, Aryan, I will extend this B to the right. So yeah, I'll include this B. Okay, no worries. What if forget about this B? What if B would have been before? Then when you are at C, you tried, okay, C is here, D is here, C is here. Okay, great. Then B extended towards right. There's no occurrence in the right side. So no extend on the right side. But, did you see that you actually internally did one blunder? That in the left also you would have to check. So again, there is one thing which you can do, that in this range, try to check that are you also minimizing left. If you're also minimizing your left, which means that the current index is not the driver index. The current character is not the driver character. Which means that if I'm trying to minimize also backwards, which means that B was the driver character. What I mean by driver character was when I was finding the answer for B, I would have reached here. Because of C, I would have extended. So this range was already included because of B being the driving character. So it ultimately says that when I am in C and I'm also able to minimize backwards, if I'm also able to minimize my left, which means that C was never the driving character. So I will have one more variable which says if this specific range is valid or not. Valid as in, when I say valid, which means it is not repetitive. So in the very beginning I will say valid is true. But if when I'm iterating on the entire range, when for C, when I'm iterating on this, and I'm also able to check that if any of the character in between, its its first occurrence is before the index I, which means that now this range from left to right extended is not valid. So I'll have a simple check here as well. Just simply check that if my first occurrence of the current character, which is s of j, if it is less than my left, then my this left to right is not a driving interval, which means if I even minimize my left, I might end up repeating the same interval which I had done previously. So I will have a check that I will just simply make is valid as false. Now, if is valid is false, I'll have to have a check that obviously the length should not be equal to n, and also it should be valid. Only in that case, put this in the interval. And with that simple fact, my intervals are ready. Now, when your intervals are ready, now you can approach this problem greedily, because now as soon as you have some intervals in your plate, you can simply, let's say if I have these intervals. Okay, let's say if I have these intervals in my plate. Now I can again imagine these as a normal intervals which you have, and you can also put indexes. Let's say 0, 2, and then 3, then let's say 4, then let's say 6, then 7, then 8, and then let's say 10. So I just simply put the corresponding numbers as well for you guys: 0, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, and 10. Now, your task is just finding out as many as interval which you can get. Obviously, how you will go? You will go greedily in that. How greedily? Just taking the first interval which you can get. Then next interval which you can get. Then maybe next. If you can get it, take it. There is no as such, okay, Aryan, I will take this, then maybe I will take this. No. If you can take this one, take this one. Greedily try to take the first interval which you can take. How you will do that? You will firstly sort these intervals on the basis of their ending. Who has the first ending will be the first interval which will finish. If that is the case, imagine I have sorted it. So this is the first interval, I1. Second will be I2. Third will be I3. This will be I4. Again, no matter what their actual ordering was, but after sorting on the basis of the end index, it will look something like this. Now comes the fun part. Now I have to start taking as many intervals as possible. So let's take a variable called as count. Then I will take, okay, what is the last end I took? In the very beginning, it was nothing. So let's take it -1. Now let's start consuming the intervals. Okay, I got at the first interval. Its start is 2. Let's take its start is 2. Its end is 3. Its start is more than the last end which I had taken. Can I take this interval I1? Yes, I can take, because its start is more than the last end. So I have taken this I1 from 2 to 3. Okay, I will increase my count by 1, and if I have taken this, any other interval should start after this end, which is 3. So as soon as I took this interval, I increased my count. I'll also make sure I'll update my last end, because last end was 3. Okay, now I go on to next interval, which is I2. As I go on to I2, I realized its start is 0, end is 6. Can I take this interval? Obviously not, because his start is not more than 3, which means I cannot take this. Okay, no worries. Move on to next interval. Can I take I3? Let's see. It is from 4 to 8. 4 is more than my 3. Yes, I can take it. If I can take it, this is the next interval I can take. I3, 4 to 8. Okay, great. Which means increase the count by 2 and also update the last end. Which means any next interval should start after 8. Okay, go on to next interval. Can I take this from 7 to 8? 7 is not more than 8. So I cannot take this interval. And I have to stop here because all the intervals are exhausted. Ultimately, my count is 2. How many I needed? I needed only k. So I will have a check that If my count is more than equals to k, then simply return a true. Which means that this piece of logic would look like that sort the intervals, which is interval dot begin and interval dot end, intervals dot end, sort that, but on the basis of what? Obviously on the basis of my end index. So I will have a simple simple lambda function which will say that sort on the basis of its index, which is a dot second. It should less than b dot second. Then it will sort on the basis of its end index. Then I will simply take count. As I mentioned here as well, I need count and the last end. So I will take the count by default 0 and last end also by default -1. Then I will go on to all of my intervals one by one. So for auto, I'll just start and then end, and then I'll go on to all the intervals, which is each and every interval, and I will say that if my start, if it is more than my last end, only in that case I should increase my count. And as I increase my count, I will update my last end with the current end. This end, this is the start, is the current interval start. And then ultimately in the end, I will return that if my count was more than equal to k, valla valla, else answer is 0. This is how I can go about it. So just showing the quick code, the code is exactly same. Let's see the code. The code says firstly initialize, then update the first and last occurrences, then go on and make sure that you get the intervals array. Make sure that this piece of code time complexity is this will go on to each character only once, which is 26. Then this entire range will also go on to the entire range, which is n, right? And that is the, again, you can also optimize this thing. You can optimize this thing also, because in this entire range you just have to go on to all the characters which are coming in between. So what you could do is rather go on to all the 26 characters. That's it. Again, because you know that inside this range I could have only the character which are 26 characters. So I can optimize this much more further by only going on to these characters, which is 26, and checking its range for all these characters. If that range lies with any of, for this character, which is the driving character, let's say it is D. For D, let's say the range was, let's say for Droid, for D, let's say the range was from here to here. Then I can go on to all the remaining other 26 characters, and for any other character which overlaps from this interval in any form, partially, fully, or partially on the right, then I will try to extend that left or right. If I'm able to extend left, obviously D is not the driving one. If I'm able to extend right, I will do a extend on the right side. So this is how I can also improvise that. But here in this case, you see that I have taken the entire range traversal, which is n. Okay, then I will sort it, which will take how much time? 26 log 26, because in interval I can have, in worst case at max, 26 characters. Cool. And then I will go on and check the simple taking the maximum number of intervals which I can take, ultimately returning that the count should be more than equal to k. The code and everything you can see in the link in description as well, but this is the entire essence. What is the time for it? Obviously now in this case the time here is O of n. This thing takes 26 into n time, although I told you that this can also be improved to 26 into 26 time, and then this takes 26 log 26 time, this takes again 26 time. So in worst case the complexity will be O of n itself, O of n itself. Cool. And again space, because you are using the last occurrence, first occurrence and interval, which all of them are of size 26. That is the reason space is O of 1 as well. Cool. I hope you guys got it. If yes, then please make sure that we achieve the like target of 75 likes, and you can just go and watch the practice problem just to cover more such interval problem. Bye bye. Take care.